What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I got some more news for you. I already gave you some of the unfortunate breaking news from earlier about the Dolphins, losing Kamu Grugier-Hill and Devon Godshaw. They have left through free agency, which is obviously a pretty big hit to the Dolphins defense. There is a bit more news that came out today, which you guys probably already know about because, I'm just putting it out there and it's been out there for a minute. But before I get to that, I want to mention, though, I saw a headline from a Dudley Do-Wrong video, and it was entitled something along the lines of, like, the Dolphins are being quiet so far in free agency, which is not totally true. It's true from the aspect of that they really haven't signed anybody, right? And as a matter of fact, the people that they have signed so far, at least a couple of them are kind of like whatever, right? Like, or like don't even make sense, right? Like they signed a punter, Michael Pallardy, right? Why would you do that though? Because you have a punter. Okay, sure, you're always looking to improve at every position, but you have so many positions across the team to improve at. Why are you focusing on that? Just like we're actually about to get to this article right here, a couple signings that the Dolphins did do today. One of them makes a lot of sense. The other one doesn't make sense, like, almost at all. It just really doesn't. So let's go ahead and get into it. Linebacker Beagle and tight end Carter agreed to deals with Miami Dolphins. Linebacker Vince Beagle agreed to terms Monday on a one-year contract to remain with the Miami Dolphins. All right, so pause just for a second. So obviously we have mentioned Vince Beagle because he's like the only linebacker that remains on the team pretty much. Right, like we just lost pretty much all of them. I mean, we lost certainly the top end of the linebacking unit, right? I mean, we still have Jerome Baker, so that's good. But we lost Van Noy. Landon Roberts probably isn't coming back. Kamu Grugier-Hill's gone, right? Fucking like all the Shaq Lawson's gone, right? All these guys are gone now. So they needed to sign Vince Beagle, so that's good. But it is only on a one-year contract. They obviously don't think he's going to be, a huge staple of this defense. They just need linebackers. So, and frankly, he hasn't really shown that much. Hopefully he takes a step forward and especially, if he does end up having a bigger role. Obviously, we also did bring in Benardrick McKinney. So, it's not like we don't have linebackers, but most of our fucking linebacking unit, certainly from last season, is gone, right? So it's going to be pretty much an entirely new unit, which is going to cause some issues, at least initially, for the defense. Because they're going to have to learn the playbooks, the new guys, and they're going to have to gain chemistry and so on and so forth with their teammates. Anyway, they also reached an agreement on a 3-year deal with tight end Sethan Carter, who played in 46 games in 3 seasons with the Cincinnati Bengals, mostly on special teams. So I'm going to pause again real quick before I finish this and get the rest of the details. That is not a position, again, that you have Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe, Adam Shaheen, who you guys traded for last season, right? Or last year, whatever. At some point, you got guys. You don't need to sign some like obscure tight end that hasn't done anything to a 3-year deal that you're probably going to end up not honoring the entirety of anyway because you'll probably cut him before then. Like, what the fuck are they doing? I'm telling you, man, they literally have no idea what they're doing. I guarantee you, they're literally just taking marching orders from Stephen Ross. Now, again, to be specific and clear on that, that's not to say that Stephen Ross is telling them to cut these guys or to sign these guys. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they've given him a very specific, or he's given them, Chris Greer and Flores, a very specific task, right? And unfortunately, I mean, the approach that they have decided to take from Jump Street is terrible and have set themselves up for all kinds of troubles. Culture troubles, chemistry troubles, consistency troubles, cap troubles, all kinds of troubles. But anyway, so, they have to do extreme things to meet the kind of requirements that Stephen Ross wants. Because what does he want? He wants to win, and he wants to win now, right? Before he even fired Adam Gase, he said, or at the press conference rather, he said, I hope it doesn't take, 3 years or whatever, blah, blah, blah. But he wants to win now, right? He wants to win now. And he wants them to do absolutely everything to get there, right? The most extreme. Because, again, we know what Stephen Ross is about. He thinks he can just throw resources at the problem, money or whatever. So, he wants them to be big fucking spenders in free agency. So what does that mean? If you're going to be going after, like, let's say a Deshaun Watson, that makes you do other weird things that don't make a lot of fucking sense, because you have to, because it's going to take a lot of resources to pick up a guy like Deshaun Watson. So that means you got to make, other weird deals with, random obscure players who probably aren't going to be part of your solution because that's all you have the cap space for, etc., right? Anyway, Beagle, who was to become a free agent Wednesday, had the best season of his 3-year NFL career in 2020 for Miami. He started 10 games while totaling 59 tackles and 13 quarterback hits. Again, just kind of whatever. He does have a lot of room to improve, and hopefully he does. But yeah, so anyway, that's that. There is one other really important thing, though, that I want to talk about, because another Dolphins player has left via free agency, and it's a pretty massive hit to the team overall. And so it's pretty unfortunate. I was hoping, I don't even know what I was hoping. Like, I wanted, because okay, so let me just go ahead and let me go ahead real quick and just tell you what happened. So, what I'm talking about. So, former Dolphins quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick strikes deal with Washington football team. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick is obviously not going to be a Miami Dolphin anymore. He is officially signing with another team, which means that not only do we lose our backup quarterback, right? So now we need to find a backup, but also, Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback position for the past couple years, right? Because of this whole bullshit that they've been doing, tanking, etc., right? In the tank season, the 2019 season, he was it. He was the reason why we won 5 games. It wasn't Brian Flores. It wasn't the coaching staff. It wasn't any of those sellout pieces of shit that caused us to have the bad season to begin with. Again, Brian Flores admit he destroyed the team. He had a hand in every single transaction. To say that it was Chris Grier and only Chris Grier is absurd. Absolutely absurd. Okay? But beyond that, there's clear evidence that during games, before games, with the way that they used timeouts, etc., right? Player personnel usage, the way they called certain plays at certain times, there was an abundance of information or evidence that shows and proves that they were actively trying to put the team in a position to lose, because they were literally tanking the season to go get Tua, okay? It's clear as day. It was as clear as day then, and it's even clearer now because of the bigger picture coming into formation with how they've handled things since then. Okay, so, but anyway, it was Ryan Fitzpatrick, right? It was his leadership and his experience and his ability to get the guys bought in. They're not bought into fucking Brian Flores and this bullshit regime. They're not bought into the lying, scheming fuckhead that he is, and that, I could be wrong. Obviously, I can't speak for these people, but I find it hard to imagine with the way that they treated Kenny Stills and lied to Tunsil and traded him, and with the way that they're just fucking, with the way they treated Fitzpatrick and the way they handled that whole thing. These dudes take note to this shit. Why do you think so many guys are fucking booking in free agency? Why do you think so many guys don't want to come here, right? Like, it's ridiculous, right? So anyway, they're losing their backup quarterback. And then last year too, he was pretty much everything, right? He fucking, he obviously started the season. He played the first 6 games, got us to 3-3, but then they benched him at the most absurd time, right? Because the team was starting to kind of finally gel a little bit. The defense was starting to come up and start doing some things. The offense was looking a bit better with Ryan Fitzpatrick after a few weeks of gaining some chemistry. They won back-to-back games, and then they decided to just bench him for absolutely no fucking reason whatsoever, except for they just had to get their shiny toy into the game because he's our shiny toy, man, and we need to have him in there because he's our franchise quarterback. But now look, there's a sour taste and they don't know if he's going to be their guy. Whatever, dude, it's all their own fucking fault, and I've been telling you all this shit, but nobody ever wants to listen. So here we are. Anyway, so much for retirement. Just when it appears as though Miami Dolphins quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick had reached the end of the line and was poised to ride off into the sunset, the longtime NFL journeyman has found yet another NFL home to extend his career into 2020. I actually don't really need to read through all this. You get the idea. And there were rumors that he was going to retire, and then, you know, he came out and said, no, I want to play. But he wanted to play and have a chance to be a starter and stuff. He didn't want to be fucking not only put on the back seat and on the back burner of the bench, but he was railroaded in the process. Like, it was stupid. There was no reason. There was no necessity. He didn't get hurt. He wasn't playing bad. And they just decided to insert the young guy. And again, it has nothing to do with Tua. Nothing against him. No offense to him or anything. This is the Dolphins organization that's being stupid consistently because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Yeah, so anyway, before I go off on too long of a, you know, additional tangent about how much they suck and whatever, I'm just going to end it there because unfortunately, you know, so far in free agency, the Dolphins are losing. They've lost a ton of guys. The team, again, I don't view the team as a 10-6 team. I don't view them as a playoff team. And they're getting worse. They're getting worse. They're losing a bunch of the guys. They've already lost, you know, a few of the guys that were staples of that big defense, that so-called big defense, right? They showed some flashes. They showed moments of dominance, right? But that's it. That's it, right? They weren't consistently dominant. They weren't a championship caliber defense, right? So, and now they've lost a bunch of those guys. And are probably going to lose a few of the others, right? Like, you know, Eric Rowe and Bobby McCain are probably still going to be cap hits, right? Cap casualties, rather. We don't know what's going to happen with Xavier Howard. The dude wants a new contract, and they haven't given him one yet. They don't have to, and he still has to play for them technically, although he could pull a, you know, Deshaun Watson and be like, I'm not playing for you guys. But, like, I mean, it's just a fucking mess. And the offense, I mean, I don't even know what to think about that. It was not good last year, and this year, if I'm being honest, I don't think that they're going to get any better. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really do. I hope I'm wrong, but it doesn't spell good things, and from my evaluation, it's probably going to turn out to be more shit. So, we'll see. Overall, though, they've lost a bunch of guys in free agency. They haven't really brought anybody in. Again, I mean, with all the data that I have, and I mean, even with the, you know, the few small bullshit signings that they've done, and then all the guys that have, you know, gone so far, I really do think that they are going to make a push for Deshaun Watson. Now, here's the thing, though. It is curious because there are people that, like, man, you can push this all the way, and it's true, right? They could push it. They could push this back and forth right up into the draft. But that would be the end of it, right? Like, it's not going to go past that. If it doesn't happen, you know, like a lot of people are like, well, if it doesn't happen now in free agency, then it probably won't happen. No, it has right up until the draft. In fact, it has until draft night, until the Dolphins use or get rid of that number 3 pick. You know, because, I mean, this is what negotiating is all about, and trying to gain leverage and blah, 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 right? So, but I really fully believe that the Dolphins play this offseason, especially because, look, they've already they told us they wanted to be active and big spenders in free agency, and they've already cleared a chunk of cap space to that effort, right? And they're not really apparently signing. They haven't really signed anybody yet. Nothing big, not really any big names. a couple guys that don't even make sense, a punter and a tight end that you don't really need, right? Like, and then like a linebacker on a 1-year deal, and then you got the one linebacker in a trade, but you got rid of the other linebacker as part of that, right? So like, they haven't done a lot. So and to some degree, Doug is right? They have been somewhat quiet, but I believe that's because they are pooling and prepping themselves to get Deshaun Watson. I don't believe the Texans are going to be able to hang on to him. I really don't. The dude is saying, I'm not playing for you. Period. I'm not going to play for you. Which means to me that they are going to have to break. I think that it's probably in their best interest to hold out as long as they possibly can to try and get as much as they possibly can, which they are going to get. My guess is they are going to get a king's ransom, and they are going to get it from the Miami Dolphins. It's going to include multiple first-round picks, probably both of our first-round picks from this year, 3 and 18, including at least one from a future draft, probably at least one second or third round pick from this year or next year or whatever, and then Tua. It's going to be substantial. Again, we have to wait and see. It's not set in stone yet, and there is about another month and a half until the draft, so roughly. So they have about that much time to hammer things out and, you know, do their negotiating and blah, blah, blah. But I think that's what it is. But think about that too. If that is what they're doing, that's going to be like the only major move that they're going to be able to do. Everybody's praising the Dolphins for having so much cap space. And while it is true that relative to the rest of the league, they're actually sitting okay, that's because last year they had the most cap out of anybody because they completely fucking stripped their entire roster in 2019, right? So going into last offseason when they signed Van Noy and all those big name free agents, right? Last offseason they signed multiple big name free agents because they had the cap space, sort of, right? They physically had the money, but it wasn't a smart way to blow through it. They blew through over $100 million last offseason. Okay? So when you add that context in, no, they're not actually sitting in all that good of a cap space. 25 to 30 million is not particularly that great, right? But we do expect them to clear more off the books. But think about that though. And they've said they want to be big spenders in free agency. So far they've been quiet. If it is in fact Deshaun Watson they are going for, that's literally going to be the only big move that they are going to be able to do because of the price tag that he comes with. So the fact that they're being quiet, relatively quiet right now in free agency adds more fire to the fuel of the Deshaun Watson thing. Because if they were big spenders now in free agency, that would take them likely out of the market because then they wouldn't have the cap space available to make that trade. We'll see how it plays out. Again, that's what I think is going to happen. That would be their one big move for the offseason. It would be like the year that they took Ndamukong Suh, right? He was their one big splash signing because that's all they could do. They couldn't do a bunch of them. Last season, they did a bunch of big signings because they had over like 150 million in cap space and then blew through that, over 100 million of it, right? This year, if they want to be active in free agency the way that they said they want to be, the only big thing that they would be able to do is sign Deshaun Watson. So, all right. Anyway, with that, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspectives. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. Of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I'm out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.